preparing for the Unit 5 test and algebra. I have put this together what the proficiency level should look like. I had to focus there. Highly proficient level would look like. The way I'm doing grading this semester, you need to do a few, at least a quarter or a half highly proficients to get your to get a B or an A. Proficiency level is just a C. So if you do proficient across the board, that's a C. So as you can tell, we have skill 1, skill 2, skill 3. Those are down here. They're by skill, so you know what you're expected to be able to do. The first one is the important one, completing the first quadrant, 0 to 90 degrees of the unit circle in all degrees, radians, sine, and cosine with no more than 2 mistakes. So that includes everything from here to here, degrees, radians, sine and cosine, or sorry, cosine and sine I should say. I would, if I were you, work to understand the patterns involved, and then you can do the whole thing. The whole circle is for highly proficient level with no more than 2 mistakes. After you're done with that part of the test, that is, by the way, no notes on that part of the test, no calculator on that part of the test. That is strictly from memory. Beyond that, once you are on to the next part of the test, you can use notes. I would highly suggest you have a complete unit circle available for you. I would also add that the tangent is the sine divided by cosine, and actually calculate those for each of those, at least in the first quadrant, but I would extend it beyond that so you can find those various measurements. And I'll get to that part in a minute. So for your proficiency level when it comes to sketching the angle and convert to degrees or radians, depending on what you have. So if we look at 11 pi over 6, that is our 330 degrees. That conversion, what that looks like is, 180, or sorry, 11 pi over 6 times 180 over pi. The pi's divide out. 180 divided by 6 is 30, so 11 times 30 gives us 330 degrees. This part is not totally necessary, but you do need to know that calculation. 270 when you're going from degrees to radians, it's 270 times pi divided by 180. So 270 and 180 are both divisible, obviously, by 10, also both divisible by 9, so they're both divisible by 90. So if I reduce this down here, I'm looking at 3 pi over 2. So my 270, this is my angle right here. Sorry, I should put that there. That's 330. And that's this distance around here for both of these. So that's 3 pi over 2 in radians. 2 pi over 3 in terms of radians. So that's 2/3. This 1/3. There's my 2/3. That is the 120. So what is not on this is radian measures and degree measures that are not going to be on your unit circle. So do make sure you're prepared for those as well. So make that those conversion formulas on your cheat sheet, your one-page, one-sided cheat sheet. So the 2 pi over 3 times 180 over pi. Those divide out, so we get 360 over 3, which is 120 degrees. So make sure you can do both of those processes. When you're finding the following, this is not a calculator thing on scale 3. This is straight from your unit circle. So cosine of 120, I'm going to the unit circle, going to 120. Remember that your x's are your cosine and your sines are your y, so this is going to be negative 1/2. You are not allowed a calculator on this part, so just be aware of that. Part B, sine of 5 pi over 4. So I'm going to 5 pi over 4, which is down here. As for the sine, sorry. So 5 pi over 4, my y value is my sine value, so negative rad 2 over 2. Tangent, remember that is the sine over the cosine, so I go to the tangent of 7 pi over 6, looking right there. So that equals, you can see that, sorry, negative 1/2 divided by negative rad 3 over 2, which ends up being 1 over rad 3. If you leave it like that, that's fine. Rationalized, it's rad 3 over 3. Tangent of 405 means that you are going full circle and then you are extending another 45 degrees. So 360 plus 45 gives you 405. So your tangent of 405 is going to be rad 2 over 2 divided by, sorry, you can't see that. Sorry, 45, rad 2 over 2 over rad 2 over 2. So that's going to give me 1. So as you are doing these, it's important to know those are your tangent values, the sine over the cosine. And the reason I would add those to your unit circle is for the next section where you need to be able to find all the angles between 0 and 2 pi in radians. Make sure you read the instructions. That's one of the dumbest mistakes people make. So where the sine of theta is 1/2, and watch out for your negatives because the sine of theta being negative 1/2 is not the same. So I'm looking for a y value of 1/2. That takes place at pi over 6 and 5 pi over 6. Where I look at the cosine of theta being negative rad 2 over 2, I'm looking for an x value of negative rad 2 over 2. That's happening at 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Where the tangent is undefined, so that's the next problem, part C. Where the tangent is undefined, I'm looking at a situation where my sine over cosine, sorry, keep moving that out of the space, where the sine over the cosine ends up dividing by 0. So that happens both at pi over 2 as well as 3 pi over 2, and it's undefined because you can't divide by 0. And then the tangent of theta, where the tangent of theta equals negative rad 3. That's the 60-degree family, where I divide the sine divided by the cosine gives me rad 3. God, I need to keep moving it, I'm sorry. Rad 3 over 2 divided by 1 over 2 gives us rad 3, so that's happening at 60 degrees. That's also going to be happening at, sorry, I should have said that in radians, pi over 3, and then that's also happening at 4 pi over 3 because these are both negative, so we get a positive tangent. So pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. So make sure Now I just realized that was negative. So these two answers are actually the opposite of what I want. What I actually want is up here where you can't see again, is where I have a positive divided by a negative, and otherwise a negative divided by a positive. So this is actually happening at 2 pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. My apologies for that. So on skill 3, it's exceedingly important that you have a solid unit circle ready to go. You noticed I had to add a negative to mine just a minute ago. Make sure that yours is absolutely complete with sine, cosine. I would add tangent to the outside as well, degree measure and radian measure, so you have that all ready to go. And that's the second video for the second part.